Man, my wife is gonna kill me when she finds out how much I spent on this thing. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. If you are new, my name is Dave. This is my 2004 C5 Corvette. So if you're into Corvette content, especially C5 content, consider hitting that subscribe button down below. Now, in my last upload, I talked about how much my C5 has cost me just to own and operate in the first 5 years. I will leave a card up here for you to check out that video. I'll also link that down in the description. So if you're more into just knowing how much it costs just to own the car, go ahead, check out that video, and then come back here for part 2 to find out how much it cost me to mod this car, whether that's performance mods, upgrades, and other aesthetic add-ons for this C5. So guys, down in the comments, let me know which modification is your favorite on my car and which maybe is your least favorite that you wish that I did not do. So let me know that down in the comments. Now let's just go ahead and jump right into the performance modifications. That's what a lot of people care about. So first, the Blackwing air filter you see up front, I actually got that as a gift, so that was free. I did upgrade the headers to Texas Speed long tube headers with Texas Speeds catted X pipe going to Billy Boat bullets in the back. The headers and X pipe was $1,100. The Billy Boat bullets were $800. And then one thing I did do was purchase new clamps for these. The clamps that come with it sometimes are good, sometimes they suck. So I got some Jegs clamps that were $36. Now, one thing I did when I replaced the headers is I replaced the plug wires as well as the spark plugs. I just went with Iridium platinum plugs, and then I went with the GM Performance red wires. Those together was $115. I guess that kind of could have went into like maintenance, but the existing plugs and wires still had plenty of life on them when I changed it. The car had about 50,000 miles on it, so it didn't really need to be replaced, but since I was pulling them out, I just replaced them anyway. Now, when I got the headers done, I had to do some type of tune, and I didn't feel like going to, whether it was East Coast, CSP, wherever, to get a proper dyno tune done. I didn't think the car really needed it just for headers, and I had bigger plans for it, which I'll get to here in just 1 second. So I did a mail order tune where I just pulled the PCM out, which is right underneath the fender here. Pulled that PCM out, sent that over to ECS for a mail order tune, and that was $150. Now, some of the goodies that you can't see down in here is I went over to my buddy Scott's over at 512 Garage. We put a new BTR Stage 2 cam in this, and with that cam I got the whole package of new springs, valve seals, as well as push rods. That whole kit was $669. And then while I was in there and the whole front was torn apart, I've replaced the oil pump with a Mellings oil pump. That was $110. I did replace the LS1 timing chain with an LS2 timing chain. That was $42. And I put in a new timing chain dampener, which was $16. And then while I had the valve train apart, the weakest link to any cam upgrade is the existing OEM trunnions. So I replaced the OEM needle bearing trunnion, and that trunnion upgrade was $168. And I did replace the balancer and all that, but I kind of put that into the maintenance of the car. I didn't include that. I'm not going to include that here in this video, but obviously I needed some type of tune done to this. The mail order tune was good enough for the headers, but for the cam I wanted to get a proper tune done, so I went over to CSP. They tuned it for $400, but I did have one issue. When I got the original valve springs and the retainers, the fitment wasn't right. I don't know if I got the wrong springs or the wrong retainers, but either way, BTR made it right, sent me the correct package. So unfortunately, I had the tune already scheduled with CSP, so they were only able to give me just a base tune for the 400. So once I got the new springs, I had to go back to CSP for a retune, and that retune was $250. All right, so that does it for all the performance modifications for my C5. That totals out to $3,786. So now let's go into some of the appearance upgrade. So let's start up front here. I went with the blackout kit for the emblems. That was $19. I did the front letters here. That was $19. This does include the rear letters, but I got different letters for the rear, so just the front was $19. I replaced the OEM corner lights for $49. In there I did put a switchback bulb, which was $21, and I replaced the side light here. There's a whole bunch of 194 bulbs in this car, so I replaced 10 of them for $13. I'll get into the other bulbs that were included in that, but so obviously that was 2, but there's 8 other ones that I replaced for the same $13. And then I did replace the stock low beams only. I don't really use the high beams much, so just the low beam, and those low beam LEDs for $35. And then for the fog lights, I went with two different iterations. First, I had yellow fog lights that were $20, but now I changed them out to white, which were $25. As we work our way to the back of the car, for the wheels, these are the OEM wheels. Nothing spectacular about them. All I did was plastic dip them black, which cost me $24 to do. Got black lug nuts, which cost me 35 bucks. I did put in some 20mm spacers. Those spacers were $60. And then, as you can see, I painted the calipers yellow with, and then I put black on the lettering. This was the G2 kit, which was 50 bucks. As we continue further back, I replaced the side markers with these laser side markers. These were $60. And then for taillights, a subscriber reached out to me and sold me the Halo taillights for 160 bucks. I did mod them. I had most of the parts and pieces to mod them, so the mod only cost me about $10. And then, as you can see, I put some tint over them. That tint was $13. I used the same tint on the front corner lights as well. And then, as you can see here, the rear letters, these are more of like a 3D letter. They kind of stick out past the panel. That lettering was $25. And then you can see I have LED reverse lights. Those were $15. Before we jump inside the car, there are a few things in the engine bay that I did, which you've probably seen already. But I have the LED under hood light, which cost me $10. And I also put these fuel rail letters on here that were $55. And then over here, I just did a video on the battery den cover that I picked up off eBay, and that was 35 bucks. Now, as we make our way into the car, you'll see one of the obvious things is that I replaced the OEM black seat belts with some yellow seat belts. And I got these seat belts from Safety Restore. They were $240. They do offer multiple discounts throughout the year, so I did get it less than $240, but I think $240 was like the base price for these seat belts. As we get inside the car, you see that I replaced the OEM shift knob with a twisted shifter shift knob. That cost 50 bucks for the shift knob, as well as the adapter. The transmission boot, as well as the e-brake boot, were $45. And then you can see my coffee cup is being held in by the Corvette Clips cup holder, which was $25. And over here on the dash, I did put a dash lettering kit in, and that kit was $13. Coming back up to the mirror here, I did put in a radar detector. This is the Uniden R3, which was $300, as well as the hardwire mirror tap kit, which was $46. One important thing to make all the LED upgrades work for the tail lights as well as the corner lights is I put a hyper flash harness in, which goes right behind this panel, and that hyper flash harness was $45. And then as we look up to the sky, you see that I now have a transparent roof. Just picked this one up used. It was $300. I do have to sand this and make it look a little bit better, but for 300 bucks, it was a good deal. So that was for the transparent top. One thing that I forgot to mention, I can't believe that I did, but I have the Spoiler King spoiler here. That was $78. You can get this now on eBay for, I think it's like $103. This is the smaller version. They do have a taller version, which is, I believe it's like around $300. I may go to that eventually one day, just because I think maybe that's a little too small. All right, so just for the appearance upgrades and some of the interior upgrades that I did, it cost $2,131. So in total, I am into this car for $5,917 in modifications. Again, whether that's performance modifications or for aesthetic reasons, we all like to make our car our own. So this was my take on this. You know, I am still not done with this. I still have more plans for performance upgrades and some other things. Now, before my wife looks over at me on the couch with disgust and wants to rip my head off for spending all that money, just remember that I got you a few Louis Vuitton bags and some other purses that were very expensive, that cost more than what I put into this car. So just remember that. So if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe. Thank you and have a great day.